share the word with you today. I hope it encourages you. I hope it challenges you. I hope you learn a little bit today. So as we teach, New Year's resolutions. So I think it's apropos this week to talk about focus, right? Because we're going into a new year. We've got new diets, we got new things, we got all of this stuff that we're trying to do in our New Year's resolutions, right? So we got the new diets, right? I don't know what they all are. Carnivore diet, keto, we got low carb, no carb, high fat, low fat, no cal, all these diets, right? And we're trying to refocus and recenter our diet on those things. And exercise, right? Like we've got our exercise things. We got, anybody remember P90X? Like that was the first one that I did a long time ago. We got CrossFit, now we got hot yoga, cycle bar, F45, F3, like all these different exercises, right, that we do to try to get back into, like to refocus, to re-energize ourselves. And to be transparent, like I hate those. I hate New Year's resolutions. I don't do them. Like I try to stay focused all the time. So today we just want to talk a little bit, have a conversation just about focus. Some of you guys, I don't know if you have personal mantras or family mantras, or mine is faith, family, and fitness. So as I'm filtering my life through some things, like those are the three things that I try to stay focused on. My faith, number one, and we'll talk about that today. Number two, my family, right? And number three, my fitness. And those three are the things that I personally focus on every day. And I think focus has this negative connotation, right? It's almost like a four-letter word, accountability or therapy, right? Those four-letter words that we don't like to talk about. But our mind is constantly wandering. It's wandering all the time. I read a study that every 40 seconds that we're still, our mind is like going a mile a minute. All these voices in our head telling us all these different things to do. And the bad thing, our brain actually encourages us to do that. It drops a little dopamine. Like we get a little dopamine every time we get a little excited. So it's hard for us not to wonder, our minds not to wonder. And if you think about like your mind wandering all the time and being focused, if it's on a graph, like I say I'm not a mathematician, but every time I've spoken about math, so I don't know, maybe I'm a mathematician. But so like on a graph, like we got your mind wandering and then you got focus down here on this graph. Well, the line that connects those two, that's boredom. Like how many of you all actually have sat down and said, hey, listen, today I'm going to be bored. Like that's my goal today. Probably not too many of us have done that. So one of the things that I talk about a lot in my office, in my job is consistency, right? And consistency and focus are a lot alike. They're the same, honestly, if we're talking about that. And the saying I say, and my team's going to be like, how did you work that into the stage? Like, why are you talking about this in front of people at Sanctuary? But I say to them almost every day, consistency isn't sexy, right? Focus isn't sexy until it is, right? So, like, if you're doing 10 push-ups a day for 10 days, like, it's not like whatever, right? But if you're consistent and stay focused on doing that every day, if you're in the Word every day for 5 days, like, you're not going to see much growth. But if you're consistent and staying in that all the time and staying focused, you're going to see some change. So what we're going to do today is just talk a little bit about what Jesus has to say about staying focused. So if we want to go to Matthew 7. Matthew 7, 3-5. The last two times I spoke, I read 8 or 10 or 12 verses. This time we're only doing 3 because, it's about focus, right? So we're going to do 3. Matthew 7, 3-5. Why do you look at the speck of sawdust in your brother's eye and pay no attention to the plank in your own eye? How can you say to your brother, let me take the speck out of your eye when all the time there is a plank in your own eye, you hypocrite? First take the plank out of your own eye, then you will see clearly to remove the speck from your brother's eye. Dear God, thank you so much today for our time together, Lord. Just continue to fill this place with your Spirit. God, we feel you move. We know you're here. Let our time together be fruitful. Let it produce things that only you can produce so that we can do immeasurably more through your word. God, we love you. We thank you. Amen. I told a couple of friends of mine this passage independently. I was like, hey, here's what I'm going to speak on. They're like, both of them said the same thing. That's the most misunderstood passage in the Bible. And I was like, oh yeah, tell me about that. Like, why do you think that's misunderstood? And like, oh, it's about judging, and it's about listening, and it's about pointing fingers, and it's about not pointing fingers, and all this stuff. And I'm like, well, I didn't feel that. I felt like Jesus was kind of telling us what to focus on. So let's set this up real quick. This end of the Sermon on the Mount, right? So this is the longest sermon that Jesus has done. We've talked Beatitudes, we've talked love your neighbor, feed your neighbor, turn the other cheek. We've talked all of these things, topics that were radical, obviously, at the time. And we're still talking about them thousands of years later. So they're still relevant. What I think he's telling me, or what I feel like he's telling me, is that what I need to focus on is my relationship with him, right? He doesn't say don't help anybody else. What he says is I need to focus on the plank that's in my eye. I need to focus on the things that I need to focus on, and then I can go help. So then I can go help other people. So I want to talk about a couple things. I want to talk about a couple traps that we may fall into to be unfocused, some things that keep us from being focused, and I also want to talk about just a couple things that once we're focused, how we can continue to stay in that state of focusedness. I've known the title of this sermon, this speech, for 2 months. It's taken me 2 months to get here. I've had an awful time of focus. The enemy attacked me on every day. There was something else that came up. Like there was like this anxiety and just being overwhelmed with stuff in my life, all these distractions, and I'm just like, all I'm trying to do is write something on focus. Like, give me a break here. Like, has anybody felt like that when you're trying to do something and it's just like all this anxiety and just feeling overwhelmed? It was hard to stay focused. And Thursday, I finally had it down. I'm like, okay, here's what I'm going to do. And I started reading through it, and I just felt this relief. Like, I really should have read this probably 2 weeks ago, because I just got so distracted. And I found out one thing, I found out a couple of things, but one of the things that stood out was focus is about saying no, right? I'm a yes guy. I say yes to everything. You want to do this? Yeah, let's do that. Oh, you want to go do this? Yeah, let's do that. You want to open a clothing closet? Yeah, let's do that. You want to feed the people? Yeah, let's do that too. What else you want to do? Let's do animals. Let's do hair. Yes, let's do that. But let's do books. Don't forget books. We got to have books too. Like, we got all these things we're going to do. Like, I'm a yes. But what I found when I was doing this was focus. I needed to be able to say no. If it's not in the fundamental direction that I'm going, like, I need to be able to say no to those things. A couple of things that came up, that one of the traps that the focus that I had that we need to take a look at is we need to stop finding. We need to stop finding and start becoming. Right? So we're looking for the right job, we're looking for the right diet, we're looking for the right exercise, we're looking for the right person in our lives, something that can fill us. We're trying to find that. Well, that's not it. That's not what Jesus is saying to us in this passage. He's saying, hey, listen, you need to become. You need to become one with me. Don't try to find those things. Become happy, right? Or joyful. Happy is a state. Like, we don't want to become happy. We want to become joyful. Instead of trying to find happiness in your job, find joy in your life. Instead of trying to find the right exercise or trying to find the right diet, like, become healthy. And don't try to find the right person to fill that hole. Become closer to God. So I think that's one of the things that this jumped out at me, is I need to stop finding and start becoming. If you're looking for somebody to complete you, I don't care how cute Renee Zellweger was and she said that in Jerry Maguire, you complete me, like iconic line, right? But it's false. Like nobody can complete you. You have to become one with Jesus. And we're going to talk about a few ways to do that here in a few minutes. But, if we're looking for that one person, I'm 50%. I got 50% of the stuff I think I need, and you've got the other 50. And I'm finding that 50%. Here I go again with math. Like in the kingdom of heaven, it's multiplication, right? If you're finding someone and you're 50% and that person's 50% and you multiply together, that's not a bigger number. That's a recipe for disaster. Unless you're whole and you're taking your one and you're adding it to another one, and then now it's a multiplication of 3. So finding or becoming. The second trap I think we fall into that helps us lose focus is, are we in the past or are we in the present? 99.9% of what we have in our lives is in the past. Think about that. And also remember that 79% of all statistics are made up, so just keep that in mind too. But I think the first thing, and I'm in the present, I'm talking like a 24-hour period, right? Like I'm not talking about like right now, right? We've got an hour here together today. Even though my dad was a Baptist minister, I promised not to go Southern Baptist on us and be here for 2. But like if this hour is still the present, that's what I'm talking about, like right now. But I think that illustrates how difficult it is to stay in the present, because most of the stuff that goes on in our life was in the past. So I think that's the second trap, just being present. Because if we go 24 hours too far behind, like if we're 24 hours or further, there's a lot of regret there, right? There's a lot of depression. If we go 24 hours too far in advance, there's a lot of anxiety and feeling of overwhelmness. I was just there, so I know it's real. It's so hard just to stay in the present. And as a society, we overdose on anxiety. We overdose on regret. And we overdose on anxiety. It's no wonder that our mental health state in this country is so unwell. Like we overdose on those things. When our mind wanders, if our mind wanders every 40 seconds, some of you guys are already there. If our mind wanders 3 of the times, it's wandering to the past or the future, and only 1 time is it on the present. I'm not saying that it's not okay to glimpse at the past, right? I think it's good. I think it's healthy to glimpse at the past, to learn and to grow from things that have happened to us or for us in the past. And I think it's okay to glimpse 24 or more hours in the future. 401ks, let's go. I want to retire, That's what I want to do. I want to plan a trip. I think it's okay to glimpse in the future. But I think God wants us to gaze at the present and in his presence. He wants to keep us right here. Some of us are trapped in the prisons of our past. And those prisons they hold us down, right? I mean, they're chains, they're walls around us, they confine us. In the present, God makes those prisons have purpose. And if we can stay in the present, if we can stay in the present, those prisons will start to produce, right? So if we're taking that plank out of our eye and saying, hey, this is my prison, here it is, and I'm being humble and vulnerable to those things, the prison will start to produce fruit. The past does shape us, right? There are horrible things that have happened to us in the past. It does make us who we are today, but if we can stay in the present and we can feel what God's doing through these moments for him, those prisons will produce much, much fruit. If we live in the present, if we choose to live in the present, we find peace, right? We focus on God's presence. We're reminded that he's with us right now. In the present, we find purpose. The challenges of the past, no longer prisons. No longer chains. Now they're testimonies. And they're testimonies of the faithfulness of God. In the present, we find provision. God doesn't promise us tomorrow. but he does promise to provide for us today. So this week, as our thoughts start to wander, if we start to drift, let's just bring it to the present, see what God's doing for us right now. Just a simple prayer. Lord, help me see your presence in this moment. And when we're in that present, we're able to stay focused on him. Those are a couple traps I think we fall into, like we fall into the finding or becoming. We fall into this in the past and we're staying there. So let's just focus on that, of taking those planks out of our eyes so that we can help those around us. Heard a story once of a company went out of business, and the CEOs and executives were moving to other towns. And a family came into town, and they're like, "Hey, listen, we got to find a new place to live. We got to find a new place to live." So they go to this town and say, "Hey, we're going to talk to the pastor. We're going to see what's up with this town." So they go in and start talking to the pastor, and they're having conversation. And the husband says to the pastor, "Hey, pastor, what kind of town is this?" And the pastor looks back at him. He says, "Well, what kind of town did you come from?" And the wife comes right in. She goes, "Oh, my God. It was awful. These people were catty. They were cliquey. They talked about each other behind their backs. Like we didn't have very many friends. We didn't feel like we fit in. You know, it wasn't a great place to raise our children, our family. So, like, we're really excited about moving. We're really excited about coming to a new city." And the pastor looks at the wife and goes, "I got bad news. This town's just like that." They got up, the husband and wife got out, walked out. And the wife, as she's walking out, said, "I knew it. I knew it was going to be just like that." The second family comes in, same kind of situation, right? Comes in and talks to the same pastor, and the pastor, they're chit-chatting. The husband says, "Hey, listen, pastor, what kind of town is this?" And the pastor, same question. "What kind of town did you come from?" And the wife, the husband starts to smile, and the wife chimes in. She goes, "Oh, my gosh, what a wonderful place we had. We shared everything. Our kids went to school together. We had all kinds of fellowship with one another. It was a beautiful place. We hate to leave it. There was so much love there. It was a great place to raise our kids. Our family, we had cookouts. We had all of these wonderful things." Mind you, they were from the same town. And the pastor said, "I got good news. This town's just like that." The pastor knew that whatever that you magnify, you get more of. Right? So what they were magnifying changed their perspective. So what are you magnifying? Are you magnifying that you're loving God with all your heart? Are you magnifying love your neighbor as you love yourself? Are those the things that you're magnifying in your life? The magnifying glass is a powerful tool, right? Like, it can make things bigger. It can make things bigger. If you've seen those pictures, I've been fortunate enough to be in all of these pictures where you're putting your finger on top of the Washington Monument and you're like, "Hey, look how small it is. I got this," right? Or the Louvre. The Louvre's a little easier. It's kind of short, so it's a little easier to do. The Eiffel Tower's tough because there's only one spot you can do it from. There's a river on one side, there's a bunch of trees on the other side, so you got to go behind it, and you got to go up these hills, but you can still hold on to the Eiffel Tower. My favorite is holding up the Tower of Pisa, right? I got this, like one arm. We know in those pictures what's bigger, but what do we see that's bigger? It's the thing that's closest to us. The thing that we hold closest to us are the things that are bigger. So what are we holding close to us? What are the things that we have in our lives? We want to make sure that we're holding the thing that's close to us. And we'll talk a little bit about this in a few minutes, but what are we holding close? The second thing a magnifying glass can do, not only can it make things bigger, it also has the power to start a fire, right? But it doesn't just start a fire. You can't just hold up a magnifying glass and start a fire, right? You got to have it at the right proximity. It has to be the right distance from what you're trying to catch fire. So as we think about that and magnifying the good in our lives, like, we want to catch fire. But what do we have in our proximity? Are the things in our life helping us catch fire, or are they extinguishing our fire? So holding people close, holding God in the center. I think last week Robert did, I don't know if you guys got one of these, but there's some in the back. He gave us a piece of paper that helps in this focus, and helps us focus on proximity to God and proximity to those around us. We use fear in the past to run away. It's false evidence appearing real, right? That's what was Robert saying. Who was the first person? Was it Roosevelt that said that first? False evidence appearing real. I'm not sure. Fact check me on that. So false evidence appearing real. So we're running from fear. We're afraid of these things, but we can turn fear into fight. Like we can turn fear into something that helps us stand right where we are. Let's go through these real quick. I don't want to spend a whole lot of time, but I think this is important. F, find time with God. So if we're talking about proximity and becoming and not finding, we want to find time with God, prioritize Him. Number 2, the E, expect the best, thanksgiving. Be thankful for what we have. A, ask for help, surrender to Him, be vulnerable, be humble. And R, read God's word, focus. So if we're thinking about proximity, those are the things we can do. We can use fear as a weapon against what's evil, instead of letting evil use it as a weapon against us. So as we look at what's in our proximity, if you want to catch fire, you can't shake your magnifying glass around, right? Like it's got to be pretty steady. So how do we, when we're focused and we're focused on, we've already taken the stuff out of our eye, how do we focus on staying steady? I think one of the things that's important in my life is having steady people around me. My mom used to say, Jonathan, birds of a feather flock together. Jonathan, you cannot soar like an eagle when you're working with a bunch of turkeys. And my brother, 15 years ago or so, says to me, Jonathan, you're the average of, your intelligence is the average intelligence of the 7 people around you. And you don't hang out with very smart people. That was an eye-opener when your baby brother said that. So I think that one of the things in our lives that has made a difference in my life to focus is having a band of brothers and Christian brothers around me. Brothers and sisters around us that can hold us. Guys, we're going to fall. Like we're going to lose focus. We're going to lose sight of God. There are moments in our lives, we know that there are moments that are tough. And I've had those moments, and I've had moments like that when I haven't had brothers and sisters around me in Christ, and I've hit. But I know in the last 5 to 7 years when I've had those band of brothers and sisters around me, I still fall, and I teeter, and I shake, but they catch me. They don't let me hit. There's still pain. There's still hurt. But there's not devastation. What are we magnifying? Is God in your proximity? Who else is in your proximity? We want to catch fire. We don't want it extinguished. We want to keep going. So the things that we can avoid we want to avoid finding. We want to avoid our past. We want to stay in becoming right now in the present. Jesus is saying a lot of things to me in this passage. And it's such a simple thing. And I want us just to continue to be focused on those words. He's not, he's the one that makes me whole. I need to stop searching. I need to be right here. The things in my past I need to be able to use right now in the present. I need to be able to pull the plank out of my eye, and in my groups of men, I need to be vulnerable. I need to be humble in those groups so that when the plank comes out of my eye, they get to see it, because the plank that my plank is made out of the same sawdust that's in their eye. It's the same thing. So if I'm able to be able to find and become whole, I can help them even in my weakest state. I need to make sure that the people around me in the periphery are continuing to keep me steady. And I think God's saying to me that I need to keep my gaze on the things that will magnify his kingdom. So as we close, if everybody will just stand up with me for a second. It's going to be a little weird for some of you guys, and that's okay. Let's lift our hands. This may be a little difficult as well, but, we just want to magnify. We want to magnify God right now and all the good that he's placed in my life. Lord, some of us come in here today lonely and searching. We know that what we need to do is just seek you and seek the kingdom of heaven. Some of us are stuck in the prisons of our past. Lord, just help us to seek you so that we can be present in your presence, so that we can hold you in our proximity, so we're able to receive your promise. God, let us magnify you so we can catch fire, a fire that is spread throughout all those that come around us. We are no longer a slave to fear, but we can use fear as a weapon against our enemies. We are child and children of God. Christ be magnified.
Let our praise